So this is called The Mystery of the Missing Socks by Justin McCory Martin, and it's about quotation marks. Hi, my name is Steve Scoop, and I'm a reporter for the Hoopletown Evening Herald. My job is to talk to people and write down what they say. I have 3 important tools: my notebook, my pencil, and quotation marks. This book is about quotation marks. Do you ever use them in your writing? When? I've just received a hot tip. Mr. McGillicuddy is missing a pair of polka dot socks. My boss wants me to write a story about it for the newspaper. Get the story, the boss. See, I've written down what my boss said in my notebook. I used quotation marks. Don't they look like they've captured the words? That's what quotation marks do. They're used to show the exact words that someone said. Yeah, so if you look, we have get the story, and then we have a comma, and the quotation marks hug those words in the comma, said the boss. Quotation marks surround a person's words. That way you know exactly what he or she said. Oops, my boss just told me to stop writing down every word she says. Steve, you don't need to write down every word I say. I had better get to work. My first stop is the scene of the crime, Mr. McGillicuddy's backyard. Mr. McGillicuddy tells me that around 9 o'clock a.m. he hung his wash on the clothesline to dry. But when he went out to get it at 11:30 a.m., his favorite pair of polka dot socks had disappeared. My socks just disappeared! See, I've written down exactly what Mr. McGillicuddy said. I placed his comments inside quotation marks. I wonder if his neighbors noticed anything suspicious. I better go investigate. My socks just disappeared, said Mr. McGillicuddy. When you quote people, you have the choice of putting their name at the beginning, middle, or end of the sentence. This time, Steve chose the end, but he could also have chosen the beginning or middle. Mr. McGillicuddy said, "My socks just disappeared." That's at the beginning. "My socks," said Mr. McGillicuddy, "just disappeared." That's in the middle. Now I'm talking to Miss Slice. She's given me a really great tip. I'd bet my hat that it was Harold. I'd bet my hat, said Miss Slice, that it was Harold. I want to remember Mrs. Slice's comment, so I wrote down exactly what she said. I've got to find out more about this mysterious Harold. Where did Steve place the speaker's name this time? At the beginning, the middle, or the end of the sentence? You hold up 1 finger if it's at the beginning, 2 fingers if it's at the middle, and 3 if it's at the end. Good. If you chose 2 fingers, you are right. It's right here in the middle. Here's Mike Monty, the mail carrier. He knows the suspect all right. and has some pretty alarming things to say about him. Can you believe Harold chased me down the street, then helped himself to a bunch of letters? This is incredible. Boy, I wrote down every word. This Harold sounds like a real bully. Quotation marks. Can you believe Harold chased me down the street, then helped himself to a bunch of letters? Asked Mike Monty. Question marks go inside of the closing quotation marks. So notice how the question mark is hugged. It's all part of this sentence that's hugged by the quotation marks. Now I'm talking to a girl named Jenny Jennings. She's 10 years old. Jenny says that just a few minutes ago, she spotted Harold dashing toward the park. I just saw Harold running toward the park. Jenny gave me a really great lead, so I wrote it down. I'm hot on Harold's trail now. 10-year-old Jenny Jennings said, I just saw Harold running toward the park. Exclamation points are used in quotations when the speaker is talking either loudly or excitedly. Remember, exclamation points also go inside the closing quotation marks, the same as question marks. Right here. What have we here? There's a pair of polka dot socks lying on the ground. They are right beside a dog. Let's see if I can make out the name on his tag. Just as I suspected. Harold. Looks like I located the polka dot sock thief. Harold. Arf, arf. Naturally, I wrote down Harold's statement. Looks like the case of Mr. McGillicuddy's missing socks is officially closed. Now, I just have to write the story. Arf, arf, said Harold, the dog. To keep your writing lively, it's a good idea to find other words to use in place of said. Okay, so we've kind of talked about how some words can be worn out words. So said is kind of a worn out word. For example, you could substitute remarked or exclaimed or commented or shouted or screamed or laughed or reported or whispered or sighed or barked. Which one works best here? Can you think of some others? Brainstorm a list. So which red word would work best here? Everyone. Yeah. The end. Shall we read our article in the newspaper? Hoopletown Evening Herald. All the quotes that are fit to print. 10 cents. Missing sock mystery solved by Steve Scoop. Mr. Clyde McGillicuddy lost a pair of socks today at approximately 9 o'clock a.m. He hung them on his clothesline to dry. Then, when he went out to get them at 11:30 a.m., they had vanished. My socks just disappeared, exclaimed Mr. McGillicuddy. A neighbor, Mrs. Enid Slice, suggested a likely sock snatching suspect. I'd bet my hat, she said, that it was Harold. Mr. Mark Monty, the mail carrier, agreed, saying that Harold often gives him trouble. Can you believe Harold chased me down the street and helped himself to a bunch of letters? Asked Mr. Monty. It was truly hard to believe, but this reporter was determined to find the footwear fiend. Jenny Jennings, age 10, provided a helpful clue. I just saw Harold running toward the park, she reported. Upon arriving at the park, a pair of polka dot socks was spotted lying on the ground. Nearby was a small dog. According to his tag, his name was Harold. Mystery solved. Asked what he had to say for himself, Harold replied, "Arf, arf." In a late breaking development, the socks have been returned to Mr. McGillicuddy. He promptly put them on and is very happy. And by the way, the weather is really nice. I hope you enjoyed this story, and you can listen to it again to learn even more about quotation marks. And I will see you soon. Have a great day.